Special Forces, more commonly known as SF, are military units specifically trained to carry out special missions. These operations can be part of a conventional conflict, but also of unconventional warfare. Do you know what these are? If not, don't panic. On aTech, we're here to give you the lowdown on tech, science, and engineering. Generally speaking, we're talking about asymmetrical warfare in the context of unconventional conflict. But this is a combat that pits the armed forces of a state against combatants who have no real material significance. Instead, they tend to exploit an opponent's weak points to achieve their goal. Most of the time, the conflict is political or religious. This often includes wars of independence or terrorism. When it comes to special forces, their somewhat special status is almost mythical. They tend to contribute to the influence of the nation to which they belong. Their reputation has a lot to do with their position within a state. Special forces are of paramount importance to the military. They are a form of stake for the state they represent. The spectrum of their missions is growing, not least because of their many advances in technology. In short, the special forces are a showcase for the army and de facto for their nation. The difficulty of the selection process, but also of training, is partly to blame. Many people judge the rest of a nation's forces by their special forces. In fact, these are the units that are best known to the general public. In the same way as victories, many operations that end in failure can damage the reputation of the units concerned, and therefore of the army. Conversely, exploits enhance a nation's image and appreciation of its skills. In reality, special forces are among the units most exposed to the enemy. As a result, they are particularly exposed in popular culture, despite their great powers of concealment. Who hasn't seen a film in which special forces are involved? Whatever the case, these units represent a very special culture, and we're going to find out all about it right now. What if we were to immerse ourselves in the heart of the special forces? In any case, we'll try to teach you as much as we can about them. Special forces are generally discreet by nature. They are part of the French Army, Navy, or Air Force. They need to be able to move quickly and unobtrusively to strategic locations. All this takes place before conventional forces are deployed. Generally speaking, the units are very attached to the equipment they use, as they play a major role in its development. In your opinion, what innovations are planned for the army? As a result of the different operations carried out, the team members share their thoughts with the innovation structures of the Special Forces units and the army. Some companies also cooperate in the development of new equipment. Artificial intelligence seems to be at the forefront of the intelligence field. Augmented reality is also on the agenda. The aim is to offer ever more innovative training to the Army's various teams. And yet, while special units are highly innovative, they still adhere to certain traditions. Indeed, military leaders have always needed groups of men to carry out attacks on strategic points. Let's take the example of the First World War. What do you think? In that famous conflict, the German Sturmtruppen created breaches in the opposing lines. This allowed conventional units to make way. The Sturmtruppen were the elite assault troops of the Imperial German Army during the First World War. During the Second World War, special forces units were created on a permanent basis. In 1972, following the hostage-taking at the Munich Olympics, Western countries equipped them for counterterrorism. The culture of special forces is immortal. Even today, the selection process for these elite units is drastic. After selection, training is extremely difficult. When it comes to their personal lives, these individuals make enormous sacrifices. They devote themselves entirely to their profession. Family life takes a back seat. At present, it's the conflict in Ukraine that is putting special forces in the spotlight. Europe is once again facing war. Do you think the war in Ukraine has had a major impact on special forces? In a way, yes. This modern-day conflict is even shaking up the technology of European armies. The future of special operations is at stake. Companies and equipment are proposing a breakthrough in weapons technology. Innovation is intrinsic to special forces. They have to surprise the enemy, so they need to reinvent their modes of action. We're talking about the long-term future of warfare. In fact, the war in Ukraine is changing the order of priorities, particularly as regards informational warfare. We're also talking about drones, anti-drone warfare, and cognitive warfare. It is vital to be able to innovate rapidly, but also to avoid excessive dependence on supplies. Today, certain programs that didn't really interest armies are making headlines. The Russian invasion has changed all that. The Nanovisir project should enable France to produce its own high-resolution thermal microcameras and reduce its dependence on foreign suppliers. On the other hand, Skyhook is being developed by a marine commando operator. The aim is to simplify the boarding of ships during special operations at sea. Finally, Silas's Helm-Up P project uses lasers to counter the growing threat of drones. The Russian-Ukrainian conflict has demonstrated the usefulness of many, sometimes forgotten technologies. We are therefore witnessing a genuine revival of European interest in new technologies. Let's take a closer look at these innovative processes. What do you think? Near Bordeaux, an event dedicated to special forces is being organized. It's the SOFIN Special Forces Trade Show. Manufacturers unveil the latest inventions that could be of interest to commandos. You'll find handguns, technical clothing, ground robots, missiles, fast boats, food, light armored vehicles, night vision binoculars, navigation equipment, and much more. Cyber protection is also a major asset for the special forces. Drone manufacturers are also very active. Clearly, the conflict in Ukraine has once again demonstrated the effectiveness of combat drones and kamikaze drones. This year, it's the new DT-46 that steals the show. This drone can take off vertically like a helicopter. What's more, it can be set up in just a few minutes. The vertical takeoff version has a range of 3 hours and 50 minutes, while the conventional takeoff version has a range of over 7 hours. It can also carry 5 kilograms of payload. Reunion-based manufacturer FlyR is just as interesting for special forces. It has unveiled its R2-120 Raijin Kamikaze drone project. The drone would be launched from a mortar tube. It would then spread its wings to reach a speed of 110 kilometers an hour. When a target is validated by an operator, the drone will dive attack at 270 kilometers an hour. For the moment, FlyR is seeking funding to develop this device. The company claims to be able to put it into service in less than a year. It has a range of 50 kilometers and a payload of 1.5 kilograms. Some of the big names in the armaments also unveiled their new products. Airbus drone subsidiary Servicopter has just unveiled its brand new Kappa X drone. It weighs around 100 kilograms and has a payload of 10 kilograms. It is therefore capable of vertical takeoff with hybrid propulsion. Its first flight is due to take place in 2 months' time. Why are we witnessing such a frenzy of innovation? Quite simply because special forces need new technologies to survive. You've probably already heard of deepfakes. In the United States, the Special Operations Command is showing a willingness to use deepfakes as a weapon of manipulation, disinformation, and influence. Thanks to or because of artificial intelligence. It is now very difficult to tell the difference between what is true and what is false. So, we're talking about propaganda and manipulation campaigns via the internet, using deepfake videos. These futuristic missions are intended to help special forces in their various missions. Deepfakes could provide reliable feedback on current operations. Indeed, these technologies are based on the notion of piracy. This makes it possible to analyze them and assess the sensitivity of populations to a propaganda operation. For the moment, no mission of this type is underway, but requests have already been made. What's more, these influence operations are nothing new. They've been around for a number of years now. However, the arrival of deepfakes pushes the envelope even further. Does the future of special forces lie in these mysterious new technologies? What about ethics? Is this type of weapon more powerful than traditional ones? Will it strengthen special forces? Don't hesitate to give us your opinion by leaving us a comment below. We look forward to hearing from you. See you soon on aTech.